It was a night meant for laughs, for sharp wit, and maybe a little political edgy. Nothing unusual for Stephen Colbert's show. But no one in the studio, nor the millions watching at home, could have predicted the wildfire that was about to ignite on live television. Pam Bondi, former Florida Attorney General and a fierce Trump ally, was the night's featured guest. From the moment she walked onto the stage, tension seemed to trail behind her like smoke. The audience, known for its liberal leanings, offered a few claps, some awkward cheers, and even a noticeable hush. Colbert, a master of weaving humor into heated subjects, greeted her with his usual charm, but there was a flicker of intensity in his eye as he knew this wasn't going to be a light segment. And he was right. The conversation quickly veered from small talk to political landmines, and before the first commercial break, it was already spiraling into something far bigger than either host or guest had bargained for. The first spark came when Colbert asked about Bondi's controversial defense of Trump during his second impeachment trial. His tone was polite, but the question was piercing. "Do you still believe everything you said during that defense holds up?" he asked, eyebrow raised. Bondi smiled tightly. "Absolutely," she said. "I stand by every word." "What I said then was the truth." Colbert leaned in. "Truth according to whom?" The audience murmured. Bondi's expression stiffened. "According to the law, Stephen." The host chuckled, but there was no humor in it. "The law's been interpreted a few different ways lately," he replied, "especially depending on what side of the courtroom you're sitting on." And that's when Bondi stopped smiling. The gloves came off. "Are you implying I lied under oath?" she said sharply. Colbert held his hands up. "I'm just asking questions." But from that moment on, it was clear this wasn't an interview. This was a battle. The next 10 minutes were nothing short of verbal warfare. Every answer from Bondi was met with a razor-sharp rebuttal from Colbert. She defended her stance on election integrity. He countered with references to court cases that were thrown out. She claimed political persecution. He brought up facts and footage that painted a different picture. The crowd, usually roaring with laughter, sat in stunned silence. Occasionally, a nervous laugh broke through, but this wasn't comedy anymore. It was confrontation. The conversation hit a breaking point when Colbert asked, "Do you ever regret standing so firmly beside someone who has, on record, said things that turned out to be false?" Bondi, now visibly annoyed, fired back, "You're the one spinning narratives, Stephen." "Not me." The audience gasped. Colbert didn't flinch. "I'm just trying to get to the truth," he said. "If that's uncomfortable, maybe we're hitting something real." Producers backstage were already getting nervous. This wasn't the typical late-night chaos that gets clipped for social media. This was unfiltered, unscripted hostility. The teleprompter cues were abandoned. Colbert and Bondi were now in their own world, locked in a political tug-of-war. Then, Bondi stood up. "If I wanted a trial, I'd go to court," she snapped. "I came here thinking this was an interview, not an ambush." Colbert leaned back, surprised but calm. "We ask real questions here," he said. "If that's an ambush to you, maybe you're used to softer landings." The audience erupted, some in cheers, some in shock. Bondi turned toward the crowd. "You're not here for answers," she said. "You're here for confirmation bias." And that was it. She removed her mic, handed it to the nearest crew member, and stormed off stage. The camera panned awkwardly to Colbert, who looked directly into the lens and said, "Well, that escalated quickly." What followed was pure chaos online. Within minutes, hashtags like #PamBondi walkout and #Colbert clash were trending on X. Clips of the confrontation flooded YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. People were divided, as some calling Colbert a hero for holding a controversial figure accountable, others slamming him for turning a guest spot into a courtroom. Bondi released a statement the next morning, calling the show a political ambush disguised as entertainment. Colbert addressed the incident in his next monologue, saying, "We invited a public figure to speak. She chose to walk." The media couldn't get enough. Panel discussions on cable news debated the ethics of the exchange. Was it journalism? Was it entertainment? Was it both? But beyond the headlines, one thing was clear: this was more than a celebrity spat. It was a clash of two Americas, live on stage. In the following days, the fallout continued. Bondi appeared on several conservative news shows, accusing late-night media of bias and manipulation. She claimed the producers had promised her a fair interview while what she got instead, she said, was a political inquisition. Colbert, meanwhile, gained both praise and criticism. Some accused him of lacking decorum, while others hailed him as brave for asking the questions no one else would. The incident sparked a larger conversation about free speech, media responsibility, and what it really means to platform someone. Was Bondi given a voice, or was she baited? Was Colbert upholding truth, or pushing his own agenda? Audiences wrestled with those questions in real time, and the divide only deepened. Other political guests began reconsidering appearances on comedy shows. Networks felt the ripple effect as bookings were cancelled or rescheduled. Late-night hosts across the board were now under scrutiny. Should they press harder, or ease up? The industry had shifted overnight. Colbert's ratings, however, soared. People weren't just tuning in for laughs anymore. They wanted confrontation. They wanted real talk. And whether you liked it or not, Colbert had delivered. Behind the scenes, CBS issued a statement affirming the host's journalistic freedom. Bondi, on the other hand, hinted at legal actions, claiming defamation and breach of agreed terms. The story wasn't dying, it was evolving. Eventually, Bondi's walk-off became part of late-night lore. The clip was analyzed in journalism classes, replayed on anniversary specials, and referenced by future guests with a laugh or a warning. "Don't pull a Bondi" became a joke among comedians. But for Bondi, it was no joke. She doubled down on her views, building a platform around media bias and cancel culture. Her followers grew. Her voice, once a guest feature, became its own headline. For Colbert, the event solidified his role not just as a comedian, but as a cultural commentator, or as someone willing to go toe-to-toe with power, even if it got messy. And in the end, maybe that was the point. In an age where everything is scripted, rehearsed, and sanitized for public consumption, the Bondi-Colbert clash stood out as a moment of raw, unscripted reality. It was uncomfortable, unpredictable, and undeniably real. It blurred the lines between entertainment and accountability, between humor and truth. And for millions of viewers, it was a reminder that sometimes the most powerful moments aren't the ones written in advance, but the ones that erupt when two strong wills collide. Pam Bondi's walk-off wasn't just a headline. It was a mirror reflecting the deep divisions, the cultural tension, and the ongoing battle over truth in America. Stephen Colbert, love him or hate him, held that mirror up for the world to see. And Bondi, in refusing to play along, shattered it. What's left are the shards of raw, jagged pieces of a media landscape still trying to figure out what entertainment ends and truth begins. One thing's for certain, no one will forget that night.